Hi, good afternoon. Welcome to the 12th episode of the Social Justice Zealot. Now, contrary to the plagues and locusts that God summoned against Pharaoh during the time of Moses, the environmental plagues of climate change and global warming are being caused by us, the pinnacle of God's creation. And so, because we have caused this plague, it is in fact that the remedy must also fall upon us. We must fix this. We must fix this. This afternoon, we'll be continuing our exploration of ecological issues by digging into a possible cure. The Green New Deal that is being discussed and debated in our country right now. I believe in my heart and in my mind that this thing that we call climate change is very real. Do you realize that the increased CO2 emissions that lead to increased temperatures around the world, that lead to huge and gigantic ice melts of eons-old glaciers, that then increase the depths of oceans and lakes, that increase the possibility of storms, also increases those storms' devastating power and violent force. Tornadic and cyclonic activity has increased in the recent past, and has the power, the strength of those twisters. Hurricanes and typhoons in our oceans are happening at increased rates, and what might have been a Category 1 or 2 storm a decade or less ago now reaches the more damaging 4 and 5 levels. Now, it doesn't take a rocket scientist or a meteorologist to understand that stronger storms on the land and seas increases the damage and the economic loss to individuals and families, to villages and towns and cities, to states and even countries. What can be done? Well, like its predecessor of the 1930s, the Green New Deal attempts to offer a comprehensive plan that meets all of the various impacts of climate change that produces the carnage from these violent storms, as well as the overall negative impact on the world's ecosystem. Now, if these two positives, the somehow decreasing the violence of the storms and the overall negative impact on our ecosystem, if those two positives weren't enough, the Green New Deal also addresses the economic questions and impacts that reversing the devastation of climate change and global warming produces. Without doubt, in order to truly attack the increasing carbon emissions and the devastating impact that these emissions make on our environment, we must think broadly and act with innovation and creativity. If we say we will no longer use fossil fuels, coal is one. Coal, for example. What will all those who work in the mining industry do? If we don't use coal anymore, won't that mean that the miners and the managers would be out of work, unemployed, and unable to find new jobs because mining is all they know how to do? Now that's a legitimate question and concern that might be raised from the Green New Deal. If the Green New Deal is enacted, would there be mass unemployment and economic upheaval? That's one of the concerns raised about this comprehensive plan. The Green New Deal addresses those concerns by promoting and planning for massive educational and trade retraining programs. It's true, to full-on attack climate change and global warming, we're going to have to change our energy sources from fossil fuels like coal and gas and oil to renewable sources like solar and wind power. We will have to make these new technologies more widely taught and then used and implemented. We will need innovations to make their development and use economically feasible. We're already doing this. Educational degree programs are being offered at universities and colleges, community colleges, and even at the high school levels. We need scientists and engineers to pioneer these new technologies. We need tradespeople to build and maintain those majestic wind turbines and to install and maintain solar panels that can fill unused acres or even fit on our rooftops. We need experts in land management and wildlife, in flora and fauna, to make certain that as we create these new earth-friendly energy sources, that we're not bringing additional damage to our land and waters and atmosphere. The Green New Deal attempts to be comprehensive in scope. Is it a perfect plan? Probably not. Is it a necessary and beginning step to ensure a sustainable world and living space for our current and future generations? The answer to that is unequivocally yes. Yes, I believe in my heart and my mind and my soul that we, that is humanity, past, present, and future, have been given the great gift of creation and the responsibility to care for it, to maintain it, to sustain it, and yes, to save it. This gift and the responsibility that comes with it is not just for this country, the United States of America. It must be for everyone who inhabits this spinning miracle called the planet Earth, this third rock from the sun. We can debate the pros and cons of the Green New Deal until the cows come home. But may we debate and make actionable decisions before those cows have perished because of our neglect and our arrogance. Friends, we got to start somewhere. We have to start somewhere. And if you wonder why, if you're thinking, Zealot, there's nothing wrong, ultimate damage won't come for several decades. Decades. A decade is 10 years. If you wonder why this is so important right now, look at the faces of your children, your grandchildren, your nieces and your nephews, those students in your classrooms or possibly in the pews of your church, synagogue, or mosque. They are why something must be done to not just halt the damages of climate change, but to indeed and in fact reverse our previous actions of abuse. Now we must act. May it be so, and amen.